Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you're here for, the first week one preview. Joined here with Brad and Jim, the original members, and we are really excited here to give you the breakdown of what we see coming up for this week. So to start off, we're going to start off with the LHAC. First game, we got Penn Cambria Johnstown.
And, it's going to be a little bit of a different aspect this year because you're usually used to seeing Johnstown be the top dogs the past 2 years, but they've lost a lot. Jervon Simon, Alquan Williams, that whole gang is out. A whole new group of playmakers is in. So it's interesting to see how Johnstown will play. And Penn Cambria comes in this year as the favorites in the conference. They're led by Mac Bahey and Devin Lawhead. Mac Bahey was an All-Stater last year. So it should be a good game. We're looking at Johnstown, new quarterback. We're not sure who it is yet. We've heard Brody Lowboy. We've heard maybe Philip Madison in a running spread type quarterback situation. So it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out.
Well, let's start with Johnstown first up. As we know, everything, losing everything. We've heard some things from down in camp there, and it seems like Subich is really starting with a line and making that group come together. So I think that's going to be a real key for them, is how their line can play with a leader such as Subich.
Absolutely. The line is definitely the strength for the Trojans. Nick Subich is the center. He started last year, and of course you got the big Mikey Brooks playing tackle. They'll be anchoring that big Johnstown line to see. It's just really a matter of what kind of identity will Johnstown have. Are they going to be a running team or the passing team we've seen the past few years?
So, when I look at the Johnstown-Penn Cambria matchup, the first thing that I think of is coaching. And obviously, Ernie Fetzer is a legend around here. He'll put a good team together with whatever he's got. I think one of the things that's overrated is the Johnstown coaching staff. And I think what they've always been able to do well is play to their strength. If they try something and it doesn't work, they're not going to do it. And if it works, they're going to repeat it. So in the early stages season with a team like Johnstown, I don't expect them to go to against Penn Cambria and win. But I do expect that, as the season progresses, they'll figure out what works for them. And if they can keep it rolling, they might have success in AAA playoffs.
Absolutely, Brad. Johnstown always, they always have the athletes. They're the biggest school in the conference and the district for AAA. So they're a big school. There's going to be a lot of kids out for football. They certainly have athletes to make plays. We've seen Dalvin Williams last year make plays on offense and defense. I'm sure his offensive game is going to have to step up for the Trojans this year. But, it's going to be an interesting matchup. And moving on to Penn Cambria, they are the coaches pick them to be number one. They're one of the favorites in AA to win it. Their strength is obviously defense. They have all their linebackers back, and this senior class for Penn Cambria has been together, been through a lot, and they're finally ready to take the league.
Right, and freshman football is often an indicator of how strong a class is when they're going to be seniors. From what I remember, Penn Cambria, this senior team, when they were freshmen, were really at the top of the Lower Highlands. They're a strong class. I look for them, especially combined with Coach Fetzer up there, to be, like most people think, at the top of the league.
Absolutely. Penn Cambria, they're going to be replacing their quarterback and running back, and it's odd for a team to lose such important positions and still be ranked that highly. So obviously they believe there's kids up there that can run the ball, and they're not a big passing team. So the
Veer offense has been a staple of Coach Fetzer's.
Absolutely. They run what they run, and they run it well.
Right, and losing a quarterback doesn't necessarily hurt as much as losing a big tackle or losing a linebacker.
Okay, guys. So then after that, what will be the keys for Johnstown to handling Penn Cambria? Like, what do they have to do to stop an attack such as Fetzer's, which is so adaptable?
Well, Johnstown can play defense. They've always been able to do that. I think Penn Cambria are going to get their points on long, methodical drives. But if Johnstown, like they've been able to do in the past, can bust a play in special teams, can get to the outside and around the corner a few times and outrun them, it could be the way I see them winning is in 14-8 fashion. So if they can hold Penn Cambria to under 2 scores, I think they could do it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you because, it's Johnstown. They're not going to have a 99-yard drive, but they can have a 99-yard play. That's how they've played.
Well, if you have a 99-yard play, then you have a 99-yard drive. But
Technically.
right.
One play.
Right.
Not a drive.
All right.
But Johnstown does have the playmakers that if they get out in space, they're not going to want to run at Mac Bahey, one of the best linebackers in the district. They're going to want to get past him and around him. So, I think the key is maybe Johnstown gets maybe some screens or some quick slants, stuff like that. Get through that first 7 that Penn Cambria has that plays so well.
Right. That's where you like play action. You like the trick plays. Let the speed get out there and try to make a big play for you.
Sounds good, boys. So what do we say for final predictions here?
I'm taking Penn Cambria.
I am also taking Penn Cambria, but I think Johnstown is going to get progressively better throughout the year.
I'm going to take Penn Cambria too. We'll say 28. No, we'll say 31-7.
Now, the Richland Heights matchup is very interesting because I myself have chosen Richland to be my preseason favorite. The coaches chose Penn Cambria, but I've been sticking with Richland. I like their line. I like Matt Schaefer at quarterback. I think Kyle Flick's one of the best players in the conference at receiver. And they're kind of getting away from John Rizzo running the ball, but they're getting back into what Brandon Bailey likes to do, and that is throw the ball all over the place. Richland has the kind of athletes that they can spread you out and make plays, and it's going to look more like Richland football this year. Conversely, you have Cambria Heights, who's typically one of the bottom dwellers. Coming off a 5-5 season, they're looking a lot better. They have athletes like Myers and Crawford. I think Nathan Bear is going to have a good year at quarterback. So, typically in the past, when you see the best team in Laurel Highlands coming to Cambria Heights, not always a big game, but definitely not the case this season.
Right. And so, I always like to talk about coaching and, what teams have done in the past. Richland traditionally has come out and started the season strong. Usually this is Forest Hills. I don't know whether it's because, they're playing Forest Hills and, they just play Forest Hills well, or because, they come out ready to play. I have a feeling it's because they're well coached. They come out ready to play. Cambria Heights has probably the best team they've had in maybe 15, 20 years.
At least.
They have a new coach, I think.
His first year was last year.
Justin Myers is out.
It's Jared Lewis.
Jared Lewis is in. So, it's kind of unknown. I think they're definitely Cambria Heights, a sleeper, the team that you don't want to, overlook in Lower Highlands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Richland overlooking the first game of the season. It's tough to overlook your first game of the season. I mean, you've been preparing for, half a year to play this. I don't, I see Richland, coming out strong, coming out with a good line, being able to run the football, and then getting the ball in the air and making big plays.
Absolutely, and I think the secret's out on Cambria Heights. Going 5-5 last year, people understand that they're not the same old team anymore. The defense still hasn't hit their stride, but they can score enough points on offense to stay in any game. Interesting thing for Richland is how they replaced John Rizzo, because he was so instrumental to what they did the past 2 seasons. Tanner Solarchuk came in and played a little bit last year and had some big games. He's going to be counted on to play running back. He's not a Rizzo type runner. He's, he'll catch balls out of the backfield, some sweeps, some get to the outside. He's a quicker back, but can he handle the pressure of replacing John Rizzo?
And that's the big question we face. I'm not sold on Richland yet without Rizzo. We saw countless games last year where, especially early in the season, where he would take the team on his shoulders, especially the Johnstown game or McCourt game, especially. He rushed for over 200 yards in that one. So I'm not going to say I'm exactly sold on them yet, but.
So one of the things about Richland that's a little different this year than most is that they have a tough, experienced line coming back. And that's traditionally, they've been, let's see if we can wiggle our way around the teams in the Marco Pecora era, or, let's hand John the football and let him do what he does. Mm-hmm. We're going to see real quick, how valuable was John Rizzo. And, obviously, he was we haven't seen a player like him in years. But will they be able to play without him? Time will tell. Jim, I'm not sold on the Rams as the favorite in AA even, or the Laurel Highlands, but we'll see.
The real question facing Richland this year is looking at their schedule from last year is the defense. They gave up 36 to Bedford, 35 to Johnstown, 28 to McCourt, 36 to Somerset. Then they gave up 46 to Tyrone. I mean, granted, all good offenses, but still, Richland, if they're going to win, they typically win in shootouts. And Cambria Heights is a team that they're going to be able to score with Richland. So it's a matter of who's standing last, who has the ball last. That's the type of game we might see. Richland, with their speed attack, you're going up and playing on the grass field. I know some people don't think it makes a difference, but I'm one that does think turf makes you faster, grass makes you a little slower.
Yeah, and grass is a little more volatile too. So especially if you become used to playing on turf, it's a different ball game. And definitely a home field advantage there.
All right, Jim, do you want to give us the rundown here on who's going to win the Cambria Heights-Richland game?
I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm going to take Richland because I pretty much have to at this point. But I like Kyle Flick. He's a junior. This is his third year starting at receiver for the Rams. He is a matchup problem. High school corners are going to have tough time sticking in front of him. He's about 6 foot, 6'1", real athletic player. I think Schaefer's going to be looking for him a lot, and he's going to find his way. And I'm going to take Richland in about a 42-35 type game. I really think points are going to be scored.
I'm gonna agree with you that Kyle Flick is a key player for Richland. I'm going to take the other side of that and say that the key player to this game is Ben Myers from Cambria Heights, because if he can lock down Flick at corner and they can stop the Richland passing game, then I think Cambria Heights is a more balanced team, and their ability to run the football and play defense is going to let them win this game. We're going Cambria Heights 28-21.
Still not sold on Richland either. Like we were talking about the defense. So my player of the game, the player of the watch, is going to be Tyler Crawford. He had a good season last year, especially with people say a 5-5 record isn't much, but for Cambria Heights, I think that's going to be a real stepping stone. But I think Richland's still going to pull it out, and by a decent margin. So I'm going to say Richland 35-14. All right, so next game we're going to cover here real quick is Westmont at Forest Hills. Obviously, a lot of storylines coming into this one. People didn't think that Coach Bailey would be back this year, and then all of a sudden, Westmont's program gets turned upside down in July. So a lot of things going into that. So, Jim, you want to start us off?
Yeah, it will be a new era for Westmont football, and it's a shame we've been saying that a lot lately. But Pat Barron, a graduate of Westmont, he comes from the Ernie Fetzer system back when he was in Westmont, so he's going to look to turn the tides here at Westmont. I got a chance to see them scrimmage for a few plays, and it's going to be more of a running threat, not a lot of passing. They don't have the traditional drop back passer. You're going to look for kids like Liam Moran and Luke Blackburn to run the ball, make plays. And of course, you have Forest Hills, the tradition, the powerhouse, Don Bailey. Year after year, they come up with a quarterback. And right now, we don't know who that quarterback is yet. It's a great tradition up there. But I think one player you're going to have to look at in this game is Jared Shope for Forest Hills. Arguably the best player in the conference at receiver. I'm sure he'll touch the ball, running one of their best defensive backs. So, Forest Hill's going to have to lean on a guy like him until they really settle that quarterback situation.
So Forest Hills is pretty small this year, which is rare for them. Again, I love to come back to coaching. Donbo, better than anyone, at least around here, is a champion of figuring out what to do with the resources that he has. I don't see Westmont coming close. And I see Forest Hills as favorite in the Laurel Highlands Conference, despite their small size. That's how much I believe in the program and the tradition that they have up there.
Yeah, you can't discredit the program and how things are run. The coaching staff outside of Don Bailey, those kids are programmed what to do at a young age, and when it's their turn, their junior senior year, it seems like they always step up and take the challenge.
And that's quite the first game to be starting your first head coaching job at is at Forest Hills.
Yeah.
Never easy going up there and playing.
Yeah. So Westmont. What are we looking for them as far as the Laurel Highlands Conference this year?
Westmont's they're gonna take their lumps. It's, most teams have the benefit of, having that weightlifting program, having an idea of what the offense is going to be since last season. They just started with their new coach in July. So, a successful season for Westmont is, if they can get to 4 or 5 wins, that would be great. But, it's going to be tough for them to get there. They need to identify playmakers earlier. I mean, they struggled last year, but we they had guys you could rely on. They're starting fresh. Their biggest key is they have a big line. They're going to have to lean on that and hopefully win some battles in the trenches this year.
If you could say any positive about the Westmont team, not just in the Forest Hills game, but going into this season, is that Barron did come from that sort of mini dynasty in the Westmont era, the late 90s, early 2000s. So, I think that when you're looking at Westmont, you need something to stir up excitement. And really, that's what you can probably look to, is that hopefully he can bring some of what he learned during his time at Westmont and with Coach Fetzer to rekindle the program. All right, so let's jump into our next conference. We got the Heritage Conference, and it's a year that the Heritage is seldom seen, having a team such as Penns Manor come to town. So the first game we're going to cover is Penns Manor versus Northern Cambria.
Yeah, and of course, Penns Manor coming off a huge season last year in which they won the District 6, and they advanced the whole way to the Final Four of the state before losing to annual perennial power Southern Columbia. But Penns Manor will be back with their star quarterback Danny Ferens. He's one of the better players in the district, if not the best player in the district, and he will lead the Comets this year as the favorite team in the Heritage Conference.
So the thing I like about Penns Manor is 94 is their total male student enrollment. That's only more than 3 teams in District 6 and probably 10 teams in the whole state. They have the least to work with out of anybody.
And about 50 to 60 of those kids actually come out and play football. So, it's school-dedicated football. And, of course, with the big run last year, I'm sure it generated more excitement, more interest, and Heritage Conference, it's 8 single-A teams, 1 double-A team, but Penns Manor, times are good in Clymer, Pennsylvania right now.
So we all know about Danny Ferens, the quarterback, rushed for 2,000 yards last year, throws for a bunch too. What's the supporting cast like in Penns Manor? How are they able to, turn a star player into a star football team?
You looked at last year's team, and it was the Danny Ferren show, but his sidekick, his Robin, if you will, was Joey Vedopedic. He moved on to take a scholarship to play at St. Francis. He was a 1,000-yard rusher, his leading receiver. So there's a bit of doubt, bit of question about who is gonna help support Danny. We've identified Corey Brown. He's back at tight end. He's obviously a guy Danny's gonna have to rely on, and Chris Henderson, Cody Beitner. Guys that will be competing for carries and stuff like that. But, Penns Manor, their offense, it's all shotgun. It's all freelance Danny Ferens. It's up to him how the play goes. He can make things happen. I've seen the kid play live a couple times. Saw him in 7-on-7s. He's really a special player, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah, so I think it's worth mentioning while we're on Penns Manor that Ligonier Valley, who's one of the other top teams in the Heritage Conference this year, plays against Penns Manor on October 12th. We're going to be there broadcasting the game live. So, if you want to see them and you don't get a chance to watch these kind of games much, you got a home team, definitely check it out then. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, that'll be like the de facto almost Heritage Conference Championship. They're the 2 best teams, the 2 favorites, and it's going to be a good atmosphere. I actually went to the Penns Manor Ligonier game in Ligonier last year, and for a small conference, they take pride in their football. They take pride in their towns and teams, and it's fun to watch, and it'll be a great atmosphere in Clymer.
Talk about Northern Cambria. Can they win? Do they have any chance in the world to stop the great Danny Ferens?
We actually were fortunate enough to film a little segment this year during their summer workouts, and the coach, Bill Packer, for Penns Manor, definitely identified Northern Cambria as kind of a little bit of a worry. It's not that easy game you would want first game of the year. Northern Cambria coming off a 5-6 season, but they returned nearly everyone. A guy like Jeff Hogan, big 6'3", 6'4" kid, he's back at quarterback. Nate Zacheski at running back, and a very athletic player, junior Adam Politis, is also back. So they have their big three on offense. They're balanced. They can run. They can pass. And the game is in Northern Cambria, which is another obstacle for Penns Manor to overcome.
The defense led by guys like Alex Atkins, who had a stellar year last year on defense. Big linebacker at 6'3", quoted as a tackling machine. So, can he step up and fill a hole against a Danny Ferens? That's going to be a big key.
Well, another stat of interest is that Northern Cambria is actually returning their 5 biggest players from last season. They got some big boys up front. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
It's definitely a program on the rise. We just heard word a few weeks ago that they have a new alumni association that has raised money for a complete overhaul of the stadium. There's previews that we'll actually put on this podcast, and the stadium was actually absolutely beautiful. So we can definitely say that they're a team on the rise. I don't know, Jim. What do you think?
Well, I think you guys would know better than I, but when you play a guy like Danny Ferens, a guy that the ball is in his hands all the time, he is dictating the run, he is dictating the pass. What is the key to stopping a guy like that? A true dual threat quarterback.
I think you have to have a lot of help on the perimeter. You have to have a lot of safety shifting down. Obviously, your line has to play well too, but you have to have your linebackers fill in the gaps. But you definitely have to have the help from the perimeter with the strong safeties.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that if you have the chance to tackle them, you tackle them, and if you gotta bring a guy like that down with gang tackles. So the guys in the back have to be all over the place and getting the football. To me, the way you stop a quarterback like that is strictly through your defensive line. If your defensive line can absolutely dominate theirs and just make it so that he's in situations that he's never seen before or absolutely uncomfortable, then you have no chance. Not to compare him to Terrell Pryor, but there was not a defensive line that could, even cause him to blink twice.
Right.
So he was just all over the place.
That's a good point.
And it allows you to throw the ball down the field. If you can throw the ball down the field, then the secondary can't, be helping and run support. So the pass rush, you watch the Steelers. The pass rush is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
If they can get pressure on him before he gets out of the pocket, not that they're going to stop him every time, but that's the only way to stop a guy like that.
Yeah, and you make a great point though, because especially though, if you can force Penns Manor to get into a passing situation and then be able to rush Ferens, it could definitely cause problems, because we've seen when we were at the Richland 7-on-7, throwing downfield is definitely not their specialty. They're running out of double wings sometimes during a passing camp. So
the other way you beat that is with the running game. You keep a guy off the field. This is a strategy that you often see teams try to take against a guy like Peyton Manning. Like, how can we keep Peyton off the field for as long as possible? Well, there's only one real way to do that. That's run the football, take the long drives, get the 5-yard gains, the 4-yard gains, 3-yard gains, keep pounding it, keep them off the field, keep the score low.
So if I had to come up with a key player and a prediction on the game, obviously I'm going to take the easy way out. It's obviously Danny Ferens. He's the best player in the conference, maybe the district. He's getting looks from different schools, D1 AA, D1, small D1 MAC, and the key is for him is he's big on offense, but he's also a leader on defense. He's gonna, a guy like Adam Politis from Northern Cambria is always gonna, they're gonna try to get the ball to their big playmaking receiver. Can Danny come over in a safety situation and stop a big 6'3" receiver? And I believe he can. I've seen him play. He's an athlete. He can play football. And and in the end, if it's a tight game, there's no other person you'd rather have the ball in their hands rather than Danny Ferens. So I'm gonna take Penns Manor, but closer than some would expect. I think Northern Cambria is really improving.
I'm gonna take the Northern Cambria defensive ends. If they can get around the edge and then get to him without creating too big of holes. Because if you go too wide, you create big holes between the guard and the tackle. Good pass rush, I think that's key to Northern Cambria to have any chance to win this thing. In the end, I'm taking Penn's Manor.
Penn's Manor. All right, well, my guy's going to be, like Brad said, about running the ball and how important that is. So I'm going to pick a guy like Nate Zacheski running out, and hopefully he can have the stamina to keep Farrens off the field, but I don't think it's going to happen either. Farrens and Penn's Manor take this victory. All right, so our second game on the slate for the Heritage Conference is Ligonier Valley versus Purchase Line.
Of course, you have Ligonier, the defending champs last year. They are the only AA team in the conference. They lose some key players, but back is Ryan Torrance, and arguably after Danny Farrens, you would have to consider the best player in the conference. He's a tough running back. He's quick, and if he gets to the outside, he's gone. So, Ligonier's strength is running the ball. They don't pass. It's not a passing offense. There's going to be 2 or 3 guys involved running the ball, and Torrance is the main threat. They have a big offensive line, so Ligonier has a big offensive line, so they're going to pave the way for a few guys, with the ability to rush for 1,000 yards. Then conversely, you have a team like Purchase Line. They're like the Laurel Highlands, Cambria Heights. They're usually towards the bottom. They're coming off a 1-7 season, but they have virtually everyone back. You talk to some coaches in the Heritage, some of the media types. Optimism's high for Purchase Line. They have a quarterback back and Luke Stolitza, running back Joey Huey. So they're a team that's going to surprise. They're picked around towards the top, middle of the pack. So Purchase Line's definitely a team to watch out for.
So a thing about when you're turning around your program. You cannot turn around your program most of the time with just one specialist or, just one quarterback coming out. You really have to have that gel, that sort of, thing that you really go to in crunch time, which is your offensive line. And that's what the Dragons are going to have this year. They have a lot of players back. Shane Patrick, Joe Price, anchoring both sides of the line. So, that's definitely a positive for them coming into this game after being 1-7 last year.
Yeah, now if you look at the game itself, of course on paper and of course like passing the eye test, obviously Ligonier is the better team. There's, no sugarcoating that. Ligonier is a tough team, one of the better teams out there. And, I think a key to the game right now is, how will Purchase Line stand up to the running attack of Ligonier? Ryan Torrance, coming off a 1,000-yard season, obviously he's looking to do the same this year. Can Purchase Line stop them, and or can they score with Ligonier? And I think that's the biggest question right now.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think a key to a game, say we go into this game and we see Ligonier Valley just running, and scoring a few touchdowns here and there, but nothing high scoring or anything. How is Purchase Line going to be able, or better yet, how are they going to be able to find a playmaker to combat that?
Well, what the thing with Ligonier is you don't have to respect the pass. Even last year, their quarterback's gone, but it's really a team through the years. You look at the numbers; they're not looking to throw the ball; they're coming at you, running the ball. So you can stack the box. I mean, sometimes if you do that, then Ligonier will pull out the pass out of nowhere. But you got it. They're going to expect the run, and Ligonier pretty much they're saying we can beat you even if you stack us. So it's just a matter. It's always a battle up front. Can Purchase Line? They have a lot of linemen back. Ligonier has a big line, so that's the one matchup to watch because that's the key to the game. Who wins the battle up front?
All right, Jimmy. Well, let's start off then with our predictions.
Purchase Line's definitely going to be better. One win is they're going to be well above 1 win this year. But going up against the defending champs of the conference, a AA playoff team last year in Ligonier, I'm going to have to stick with the Rams. Ryan Torrance, he's due for a big game. He's going to have a big senior year. I'm going to take the Rams and maybe running away.
Well, I'm gonna pull something a little bit out of the bag here. Is my player of the game is going to be Luke Stolitza. I think when it comes down to it, if Ligonier Valley is imposing their will, I think he's going to be the guy that has to step up and to take control of the game or to lead Purchase Line out of a tough situation. I'm still going to take Ligonier Valley, but a little bit closer this time. All right, so moving on, we go to the West Pack. One of the games to watch for Week 1 is Portage at North Star.
And, of course, you look at a team like North Star, they're picked as the favorites in District 5 and the West Pack. They have built a solid program up the past few years. They've won District 5. They've won some big games. And, you talk about North Star football, you got to talk about perhaps the best player in District 5, and that'd be Tony Strazer. Tony Strazer is a big kid. He stands about 6'5", 210, real athletic wide receiver. He's only a junior. The kid's been making plays for a couple years now. The big thing for them is how they transition from his brother, Max, who was a quarterback the past few years. They'll move into a kid named Brantley Rice, a good athlete for them. So he'll be throwing them the ball. So a team like North Star, they open up everything. They pass, they throw the ball a lot, and they can run a little bit. So, they're a tough team and definitely a team to watch. And of course, Portage, one of the better programs, around. It's a town built on football. For such a small school, they have 60 kids out playing, varsity football. So, not the traditional Portage team. They're not supposed to be all that great this year, but we got a chance to see them in the spring preview we did with the D6 Sports Network. They're working hard, and they might not be projected high, but they could finish high.
And as we said earlier about how crucial coaching is, and both of these teams have great coaches, but when we look at Portage, we have Coach Gauss, and Jeremy Burkett is also an assistant for them. And just looking at Portage's past games, their ability to scheme is crucial, and I think that they're really going to have to come up with something big to stop a team like North Star, especially a balanced team like North Star. But I really think that, if you can manage to bottle up Strazer, can you stop the run then? And then I think that could really help you win the game.
Yeah, key with Portage is, we've looked at them, and Coach Gauss even told us in the preview we've done is they're young. They have a big offensive line, a lot of big kids, but there are a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores, guys that haven't played before. It's all how they can adjust to the varsity level, and of course, you would like a better situation than going in and playing the favorite of your conference, but Portage has played in some big games before. They've won a lot of games recently. They've been one of the teams of the Westpac, and it'll be interesting to see how they go up against the league favorites.
All right, so Jim, let's look at it real quick. Our predictions for the game, and key players, and what you think will be the most crucial aspect of the game.
A key player I would say in this game is not Tony Strazer, the star of the game, but Brantley Rice. Coming in, he's going to be the new quarterback. He's going to have to keep the high-flying attack afloat. You have Tony Strazer, a good wide receiver, a reliable veteran tight end, and Rusty Miller. So, Rice is going to have to find a way to get them the ball. And, a lot of new faces at North Star, but they're still the team to watch. They're still the team to beat. And a key for Portage is, how they adjust, how are they going to play in a big game atmosphere with a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores, just a lot of young guys. There's going to be a new quarterback. We're figuring it's either going to be Devin Harrison or Michael Bria. Portage in the past has been a running team. We've seen them, make the district championship on runs. So, who's going to be that go-to guy for Portage? Who's going to, I think the first week's going to be very telling on who's going to be a playmaker. Portage might not excel right away, but they're a team that can grow and win a lot of games in this conference. And for a prediction, I'm going to have to lean with North Star, and maybe in a not quite a blowout fashion, but a convincing fashion. North Star's the better team, better talent, and I think they're the best District 5 has to offer right now.
Yeah, Jim, I agree with you. At first glance, when you look at how are we going to scheme against North Star, are you going to double team Strazer? What are you going to do in the secondary? And that's really crucial. But at the same time, then North Star will come at you with, with the running game. And no matter what the quarterback situation is, if you have the running game there, I think they're going to be pretty well off. My keys to the game is going to be, though, the secondary of Portage. They're all smaller guys. Everybody's under 6 foot, whereas Strazer is over 6 foot. So, is he going to be able to take over the game, or is he not from a wide receiver position, which is hard to do, but it's definitely possible. But I'm going to say North Star is going to win this one pretty solidly. And we go to the second Westpac game of the week, week 1, Conemaugh Township at Berlin.
Yeah, you have a game in Conemaugh Township and at Berlin. Township, they're coming off. They're losing some key players like Grant Spiegel at quarterback. He's gone. Jordan Schroyer at running back. He's gone. So, Township's one of the staples of the Westpac and District 5, one of the premier programs. So, they always have kids lined up ready to play. A guy they're going to have to rely on this year is Ken DeMoncas. He's a wide receiver. He'll see a lot of plays, running the ball. He'll be all over the place. He's a quick wide receiver. So he's going to be a real key to their offense. They're a team through the years that have relied on that one player, that that Zambanini, that Schroyer, that running back, and they have yet to identify who that's going to be. So key for Township is find that right guy, because they're not picked towards the top of the Westpac, but strong program as they are, they can always get up there. And of course you have Berlin. They'll be hosting the game at the beautiful facility they have down there. We had a chance to see them up at the Richland 7-on-7 passing camp. But Berlin's bread and butter. It's bread and butter, and it's running the football, and that would be the key to their offense is Drew Glotfelty. He's a senior running back, and he's poised for a big year. He's one of the stars of the Westpac and of District 5. Berlin is going to be that one team that's going to push North Star to the limit. They're going to be that team that challenge them. They lost 14-0 to them in the playoffs, and you can bet these kids haven't forgot about that. So you look at this game, this individual matchup. It's how Township is going to respond. Who's going to be the quarterback? Who's going to be the running back? They always have good athletes. They always have good kids, ready to play. But Berlin is the team this year. They've had some good teams in the past. Ian Saylor a few years ago. So is Berlin ready to pass up and win the Westpac? Are they good enough to do it? And I actually believe they are. They're going to be a team that can challenge North Star.
That's interesting to look at. I'm looking right now at the schedule for 2012 with Conemaugh Township, and they really have 3 games that are very vital as far as at Berlin, and then home against Windber, and then home again against North Star at the end of the season. And so you're really hoping that they can put all their eggs in one basket, at least for this at Berlin game, because they're really going to have to come and show up, because last year they were definitely a young team. And for, you'd hope they're hungry. You hope they want to go up to Berlin with the playmakers, like you said, and DeMoncas and others. And I think that if they really can get a good offensive flow going, then they definitely have a shot at Berlin. But it's one of those games. It's a statement. Obviously, your week 1 is a statement, but for such a team as Conemaugh Township, a young team last year, going at Berlin, that's definitely a big thing. But if they can it's all about execution. If they can execute from the offensive standpoint, I think that they're going to be okay.
And if to steal a line from you, and this is definitely a statement game, is this is a statement for Berlin. Are they for real? Are they going to be that team? And this is a statement for Township. Can our program overcome those losses they lost last year, and be a good team, be a competitive team? And to pick out one player, I'm gonna have to pick out Ken DeMoncas from Conemaugh Township. I think he's a true playmaker. He's going to be seeing the ball a lot, because they're going to be breaking a new quarterback, new running back, and I think he's going to have to really make some plays for this young Indian offense. But in the end, I'm going to take Berlin, and I think it's going to be a really good game. Definitely a game. If you have a chance, why don't you go out and check it out, because it's just going to be a good battle, 2 good teams. I'm going to say somewhere in the 28-20 range, 24-20, something like that, a close game.
Jim, I'm with you on that. I think it's going to be one of the premier games to watch in District 6 or District 5-6 this year. But one thing that I've noticed with Conemaugh Township in the past is that the big games they have not shown up as strong as we saw. 1999 at Wimber was the game of the week on WJAC, and they really didn't show up. And then you have other games in the early 2000s. Games that were really hyped up, like at Berlin again, that they just didn't really show up for. But maybe this could be a different team. But I still think that Berlin pulls out a tight one. Okay, folks, let's move to the ICC, and we have a big game starting here in week 1, which is Glendale versus Northern Bedford.
Northern Bedford is one of the better teams in District 5, and they're going to be another team that can contend with North Star and Berlin in the playoffs. But as for the regular season, they're looking to take the ICC. Northern Bedford, they're graduating their quarterback, they're graduating their running back, but what they have back is very talented receiving core. You have Zach Pressel and Taylor Pressel, the twins. One plays receiver, one plays tight end. And, they're big kids, 6'3" or better. So, they're going to be a tough team to match up with, on the defensive end. You don't see that kind of height two places on a high school football team. So Northern Bedford, they're picked towards the top of the ICC. They're one of the bigger schools in the conference. They're just a consistent, well-coached program. And, of course, you have Glendale. And Glendale is a tiny school. They only have about 20, 30 kids on the roster. But what they have a lot coming back. Damon Branoff, one of the better running backs in the league, he averaged 5 yards a carry last season and scored 13 touchdowns. So he's definitely going to be a guy to rely on for the Vikings. Gary Wither is back. He was a quarterback last year. Good, heady player, ready to make some plays.
Heady.
And his top receiver will be Doug Twig. So, Glendale, maybe not quite the powerhouse, but, you look at the ICC Silver Division, definitely one of the contenders, and if not the favorite in that division. So, they're going to be a factor come District 6 Single A playoff time. And, I think this is a very good matchup. Definitely one of the better matchups of the ICC the whole season, and definitely week 1.
Yeah, Jim, I agree. Looking at this matchup, offense, defense, playmakers, what I'm looking at really is Glendale's offense versus Northern Bedford's defense. And quick shout out to coach of Bleacher Coaches, the defensive coordinator for Northern Bedford. But what I'm going to be looking at is, okay, we know Glendale can run. They have Damon Braniff. But also we know that they do have the passing ability, right? So how will that play out, especially with the playmakers of Northern Bedford? Can Glendale establish some sort of flow into the game, and can they basically be balanced? I think that would be a huge key for a victory against Northern Bedford.
The key with the Northern Bedford defense is Taylor Pressel. Big 6'3" kid, going to play end, maybe some outside linebacker. He's going to be the guy out there making the plays. He's going to be the guy making it tough for Branoff to get the plays. So, again, that's a big matchup because Glendale has the offense, but Northern Bedford has the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think where the game is won, Northern Bedford might have a better offense than Glendale's defense. I think that's the advantage Panthers on that one for sure. Mm-hmm. They still need to develop that quarterback. What we're hearing is Blake Over will step in and get that chance to play the quarterback position. Can he find he has 3 big targets or 6'3" or better. That's very unique for a small school. Mm-hmm. So can the running game might not be there, but can he get a few passes off? Expose Glendale. And Glendale also has that small roster. Can they get to the depth of Glendale early in the season?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something to look at. So here we go with the prediction now.
I'm going to have to take Northern Bedford in this game. And the key player, I'm going to have to look. You hear a lot about Taylor Pressel, the bigger kid, but his brother Zach, he lines up at wide receiver. A lot of key is going to be on his brother. Can Zach get to the outside, make some plays, and keep the defense honest? Because quite frankly, how are you going to defend 2 6'3" brothers? So they're big kids. And I just don't think Glendale's going to be able to match up with that.
I agree with that. When I'm looking at the game, I'm going to look at Blake Over. How is he going to fit in with playmakers? Is he going to be looking at one guy the whole time, or is he going to be able to spread it around? I really think this is a game for him to sort of step in and fill the role of quarterback and say, okay, this is my team. So I'm going to say, though, with the playmakers that Northern Bedford has, they will get over Glendale. Okay, now to continue with our Week 1 preview, we are going to go to the big schools now, and we have one of the most anticipated aspects of the season here will be Coach Fanker's return to Altoona. And Altoona hosts the Kiski for Week 1, a team that they beat last year pretty soundly, which was one of their only positive marks on last season. But we have Coach Franco stepping in, obviously, at Altoona Area High School, and we're expecting. At least I am. We're expecting some big things.
Obviously, Coach Franco had so much success with Tyrone. Winning a state title, taking him to a couple. So, he's one of the legendary coaches of the district. And how is he going to fare? Moving up. Playing the quad A schedule. You look at the Altoona schedule. They have Kiski, but then the tough games start right after that. They got at Penn Trafford, at Gateway, McKeesport. At Central Catholic. These are the type of teams he's going to have to be dealing with. It's a little bit different than playing Central Martinsburg. No offense to them, but the quality of football for Franco is definitely going up. You look at the Altoona team. Coming off last year, 3-6 season, they're in the WIPUL again. It's not easy, and they used to play that mid-Penn conference where they play Hollidaysburg State College, but now they're playing the big boys, and it's one of the bigger schools in the state in Altoona. So how are they going to respond to that? How are they going to play with that? We look, and one of the strengths of this team is definitely defense, and Markeith Node and Brandon Berzolani and Austin Roseberry, they're the three seniors back on defense, and Jake Deviney, those are the guys they're counting on this year to be the guys. And it's going to be a tough game for them because new coach it's a little bit different. But I think Altoona, with Kiski coming off a 1-8 season, I think Altoona can start out strong and maybe build a little bit of momentum coming into the season.
Jim, I agree with you about the seniors. One of the big things for Franco, obviously, is winning over a Altoona program which has been very down in the dumps lately, and according to many sources, had a lot of internal turmoil. So what I think is going to be really big in this game is that senior leadership. With a new coach, obviously, you want to win over the whole team, but I think it's not going to be a Coach Franco team at Altoona. It's going to be a senior-led team at Altoona, and that's the key to their season and to this game. But I think all in all, to start off with a prediction, Altoona is hosting this game. A complete new atmosphere that I hope that Coach Franco is going to bring to Mansion Park, and I think that is really going to help them. Like last year, we saw with the Hollidaysburg game at Altoona. Altoona was expecting big things last year, and Altoona rolled in that game. So I'm thinking the same thing is going to happen.
Not going off a lot of like what Kiski has, but going off what Altoona has and the coach they have. I'm going to take Altoona to win this first game. It's a big game for everyone involved, the fan base and the team, the coaching staff. You look at their schedule. There's 3 or 4 winnable games. Kiski, Latrobe, Hempfield, Connellsville, definitely winnable games. So I think Altoona gets off on the right foot and maybe take a step in the right direction to a winning season, maybe a playoff season. Who knows?
Yeah, and like you said, not going on know much about both teams, but I know the type of people that Kiski puts out, so I'm going to take Altoona over Kiski, from having lived with some Kiski kids at college. So we talked about Franco at Altoona. What that leaves at Tyrone is a guy named Steve Guthoff, who's recently been named the head coach. He was an assistant to Franco, defensive coordinator from 2001 to 2008 at Tyrone. They're excited about the new hire, but replacing such a legendary coach is tough. Graduating a whole, handful of seniors is tough. They're taking on Bellwood Annis week 1. Bellwood also graduates a lot on offense and defense. And so 2 perennial powerhouses seem to be in a rebuilding stage as they take each other on in week 1, probably, one of the biggest games on their schedules this year. So, Jim, let's kick it off with Tyrone. What do you think they've got, and how do they stack up?
Well, a team like Tyrone is, they definitely have the experience. They're coming off a big 14-2 season, state runner-up, and it wasn't all seniors all the time. They have other guys. You look, and the offense is going to lean a lot on James Oliver. He was back up to Christian Getz last year at running back, but he's a guy they think that can come in and just fill the gap and just keep on chugging. Of course, a guy like Charles Adams, one of the better athletes on the team and in the district. He had a big pick 6 interception against Aliquippa in the state semifinals. So they're going to lean a lot on him. They're going to expect a lot of plays out of him, and of course, the Tyrone defense. They have a lot of the key pieces back on that defense, led by Ben McDad at linebacker. So Tyrone, they have the they're a team like Forest Hills, a team we've seen before. They don't have down years. This is Tyrone. They're one of the marquee programs of the district and of the state. So I don't think there's going to be a huge transition there coaching wise. The same team's going to be there. They're a talented group. Yeah,
I agree with you, and to really focus especially on this game. we haven't seen too many Bellwood versus Tyrone games, but obviously we're going to be broadcasting live this year. But I'm really, really looking forward to it, just because we've heard is that just plays that make this game, the big plays that make this game as special as it really is. And I think that Bellwood actually has the upper hand with Casey Gray coming back. I think obviously he was a sophomore last year, but this year I think he's going to be set for really a breakout year, and I think that's going to show in the Tyrone game.
Absolutely, Casey Gray is he's that next guy in line for Bellwood. He's going to be the guy for the next 2 seasons. He did a little bit of everything last year, but he's going to be a guy the team's looking for. And Coach John Hayes, of course, one of the best in the district. And Bellwood's one of the key programs in Single A. They're one of the favorites, and they're one of the favorites to win ICC.
This will be a test for Bellwood.
Definitely a test, and of course, you guys have both played in Tyrone. You've seen the atmosphere. You've seen how the fan base is. It's not like going into any other stadium. Tyrone's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. The thing that cracked me up and put the fear in me when we were playing there, I walked out, before the game. It was a playoff game, to kind of see the field, stand on the grass before we got dressed, and all of a sudden, we heard this rumble. What is that? Like, what's going on here? And all of a sudden, these crazy lunatics dressed in black and orange and camo come sprinting, into the stadium. As soon as the door opens, rows of them to claim their seats, a couple hours before the game.
Yeah, that's
and it doesn't stop there. They're absolute lunatics. The greatest fans, in District 6, I think.
Oh, it's an atmosphere unlike any other. It's a big stadium and it's filled. You see the movie Friday Night Lights in Texas. Well, it happens right there in Tyrone, Pennsylvania. It's very unique atmosphere, and of course with Bellwood playing, Bellwood's bringing a lot of fans. Their fan base is just the same.
Are they like 5 miles apart or something?
Oh, they're right there. This is the backyard brawl. That's what it's called. It's been played for years, and it's just going to be fun to see. And I'm very happy that we're going to be covering it with the D6 Sports Network 1 week from today.
Folks, hopefully you guys will check out d6sportsnetwork.com, coming at you live 7 o'clock next Friday. Tyrone Bellwood backyard brawl. All right, Jim. So let's go with predictions there.
This game is just, it's a playoff type game, and it's happening in August. It's a special treat for all of us to see. They've played each other 100 times. This is, long dating rivalry, but I'm going to go with Bellwood. And you look in years past, who wins this game, it really propels them to having a big season. Tyrone won last year, and boom, they're in the state championship. I think Bellwood, they're good enough to, take on Penns Manor, take on Bishop McCourt in Single A. They're going to be one of those teams. They're going to be playing in Mansion Park, and I think I like Casey Gray. I like the way he plays, and I'm going to take Bellwood.
I'm going to have a little faith in the newly hired coach and the program that was just in the state championship game. I'm going to go with Tyrone, strictly on tradition and home field advantage.
That's a strong pick. Looking at the Tyrone's fans, if you can take them out of the game, especially for Tyrone's coach, his first game, if you can take that out of the game with the playing of Casey Gray, it's going to be really down to that. I think there's going to be some of the plays late in the game, especially where they're definitely crowd quieters, and I think Bellwood's going to take it.
And just to add on a little history about the game, you go onto the Tyrone website, and there's a link specifically for the backyard brawl. And this game has been played on opening day all but 5 times since 1944. So this is the rivalry. This is the game of District 6, and Tyrone has won 8 of the last 9 games. So Bellwood got them in 2009, and Bellwood had a great team in 2009. So there's no lopsided games in this. Even if one team is way better than the other, it brings out a special, you're not going to lose your rival in a blowout fashion. And this is just going to be a great game to see.
All right, guys. So to end it off here, we'll give you a special little treat. Obviously, we did week 1 predictions, but let's predict what we're going to see here at the end of the year in the district finals.
First, we're going to start out with the District 5 Single A. we've heard a lot about North Star and Berlin, and I think that's going to be the matchup we're going to see. I think Northern Bedford's a good team, but I like the two Westpac teams, and I'm going to take North Star in that matchup.
Jim, I'm gonna have to go with Berlin. I know we just saw them at 7-on-7, which you really can't tell too much, but I think they have the type of team that's really gonna to rally around their coach, obviously a veteran coach, and I think that they're gonna be the team to beat this year.
I'm going to go with Wimber, and I like their style. I like that they're in close proximity to Johnstown. I have a good mental model of what they are, what they aren't. I'm going with Wimber.
Now we're going to move on to District 6 Single A. I'm going to lead off the pack, and we've talked a lot about Penns Manor, we've talked a lot about Bellwood Annis, and I'm going to lean with Bellwood Annis taking it home. Danny Ferentz is a great player, but I just like the overall team aspect of Bellwood Annis.
We haven't talked much about them, but don't discount the Crushers from Bishop McCourt. They return a solid line, a great defense, and they'll figure it out at the right time. I have faith in the coaching staff, faith in the players down there. It's not going to be pretty early, but I think they'll figure it out. And with the Laurel Highlands schedule, which in my opinion is better than any other schedule of any single A team, they'll be peaking at the right time.
Yeah, that's tough, but you got to look at last year and just Danny Ferentz had some weapons around him last year, but this year I think that he's just really going to take it over again, and especially come crunch time, he plays big in big games. So I'm looking for Penns Manor.
And we're going to close it out here on because District 6 AA is really the only classification left that encompasses the area. And you hear a lot about we've talked a lot on Richland and Penn Cambria, the two Laurel Highlands teams. Of course, the defending champs Tyrone. But there's some sleepers out there. You got Forest Hills, Cambria Heights, Ligonier, all teams that could surprise. But I'm gonna stick to my guns. I've said it. I've said it since June. I like Richland. I like Matt Schaefer at quarterback. I like the balanced offense they have this year. The defense needs to get better, but I think the offense can outscore and win games.
To me, it comes down again to coaching. I think Donbo doesn't have the athletes up there this year. Doesn't have the size. So I like Ernie Fetzer. I think this is the year for him to finally get another district championship. My pick's Penn Cambria through and through. I think the most talented physical team in the Laurel Highlands. I look for them to take District 6 AA.
Man, I don't know what you guys are smoking here. We got Richland, Penn Cambria, but why are you guys looking at Cambria Heights? Is this not the year 2012? What happens in 2012? We do not know. But I think that it'll be the year that Cambria Heights pulls through.
Yeah, it'd be the end of the world too, Dan. All right. That wraps it up for us. We hope you enjoyed. Thanks for being with us, and we'll catch you next time.